21, bailouts, sellouts, Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, false flag, terror attacks, Bill Gates, Henry Kissinger, New World Order, mind control, Bank of America stealing homes with cut and paste mortgage loans, police, state, taser guns, FEMA camps, Mandarin, Monsanto rules the food supply while Big Pharma dopes your mind. Prison system, profiteers, foundations, fund the fears, fund the evil through the years. The world's not as it appears. CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guide, soldiers written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Howard Nima, and you're watching Truth Talk News on TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. I was hoping to have Mike Hyson. Apparently, he, for whatever reason, he asked me to come on the show, and then didn't accept my request for Skype. So I had a whole little thing here. No problem. I can talk about ending the Fed pretty good. So I did publicize this. Again, Mike, if you're out there, or I'll try to look from this Facebook here, if there's any messages, just accept my Skype request and just Skype in there and give me a call. And I'd be happy to go into some of this. Of course, he's calling in to promote the End the Fed rally, which is coming up next week. And again, we must end the Fed. I mean, it's an incredible parasitic organization. I have a lot of information that I could detail on this. Certainly, going back again to the world order, I have it's sort of like the Bible, for lack of a better word, of resources against, especially considering the fact that Eustace Mullins wrote Secrets of the Federal Reserve and uncovered most of this information long ago in the 50s, 60 years ago. And there's a lot of information about how it was started, who started it, and the connections between J.P. Morgan, which was the Rothschild interests. You have the Schiff family and the Rockefeller family. In fact, the way that it was all put together was John Pierpont Morgan became known as the most powerful banker in the world, although his principal role was to secretly carry out the commissions for the House of Rothschild. The New York Times October 26, 1907 article noted, in connection with J.P. Morgan's action during the Panic of 1907, in conversation with the New York Times correspondent, Lord Rothschild paid a high tribute to J.P. Morgan for his efforts in the present financial juncture in New York. He is worthy of his reputation as a great financier and a man of wonders. His latest action fills one with admiration and respect for him. This is the only recorded instance when a Rothschild praised any banker outside his own family. On March 22, 1932, the New York Times noted, London, NM Victor Rothschild, 21-year-old nephew of Baron Rothschild, is going to the United States soon to take a post with J.P. Morgan. It was learned tonight. It was for the usual progressive British bankers to send their young men. Yes, of course, to the Western states. It's a very interesting connection, again, to the London Bank. Again, it is a very definite connection to London, the New World Order, this parasitic organization, this evil empire whose destruction of humanity, while profiting off of it and having people pay for their own deaths in many different ways over and over, in many circumstances, in the medical mafia's genocidal approach with Big Pharma, the eugenics. In fact, I'm going to be uploading a film. I'm going to promote it. It was incredible. It was, I forget the name of it exactly, but I'll be putting it up there. It's about, I'm titling the piece American Genocide, and maybe I'll even show some of it. It was just incredible. I mean, I have the file. It was done recently, and it is about, first of all, about Planned Parenthood and the connection between eugenics and Planned Parenthood, and what's going on today and the way that they're basically, if one is not aware that half of the African Americans that are never born, and that's an absolute fact, and that means that for every one that's born, another one is aborted, and they target certain areas with these abortion clinics, and people can actually. It was sickening, an incredible revelation to have people that were calling up intentionally to just entrap these people, I guess, just to show them how really evil they are, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, they can't use it against them, I guess. But can I use my donation to make sure that it kills a black baby, that it aborts a black baby? It's like really sickening. So yeah, you can make sure that it goes into the black community. Absolutely, yeah. It's just unbelievable. But get back to the Federal Reserve, which is, again, all connected to this. It's a eugenics program. The depopulation is being worldwide. It's a world government, a shadow government, a secret government that is putting objectives forward for the dissolution or dissolving of the sovereignty of nations, including, of course, the United States, Canada, Mexico, and every basic nation in the world, to fall prey to this world order, which will be brought about by, like, the Federal Reserve, which prints money made out of nothing, out of thin air, the faith and credit of the United States, right? And they use their resources to buy gold. So they're using all the money to buy the gold. So now they've been buying 1% of the gold a year for 100 years. There's no more gold, ladies and gentlemen. They've bought it all. And I believe there's little, if any, gold that they speak of left in the Federal Reserve gold depositories. Either way, there's very little. These thieves have bamboozled America for 100 years. The Panic of 1907 was put together to, again, do what happened in 2008 as an example. They created a run on the banks, actually, by all these banks failing. So they used that whole theory again, that Hegelian dialectic, create the problem. Well, they created the run on the bank. Morgan created the run on the bank, and then came back out as the again, Hegelian dialectic, as the solution. His solution was, we need to have some sort of a regulatory system or whatever, so this will never happen again, and the Federal Reserve was supposed to be this. But really what it was setting up a communist central bank, which is, in effect, a private communist central bank. And it's the same, and the elites, these globalists, love communism. It's not, again, Obama is a communist. There's nothing else you could say about it. They've whitewashed communism so that it looks like, it's just to help the people. I mean, Kerry Washington made the most ridiculous speech ever about having the right for, all this stuff about rights, and then about rights to have abortions. And she doesn't realize that her own people are being abolished, are being Basically, yes, exactly. They're being genocidally, I don't know what the right word, I can't even use the right word. They're being killed, targeted for genocide. There we go, targeted for genocide. And she's up there saying that we have the right to, we have to fight for our rights, to choose. To choose what? Think about it, Carrie. I mean, really, come on. You have to. The whole idea is the right to life. It's the first. It's the first of all the rights in the Bill of Rights. The right to in the Constitution. It's a constitutional provision. It's right there. It's God-given inalienable rights. The God-given inalienable right to life. The right to life. That's the first one. Liberty, which they're taking away as much as they can. So they want to kill as many as they can. Take away liberty. And the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is where you've got this mainstream media and all of this entertainment and all of these distractions and all of this pop culture distracting the people as they're being enslaved in a debt-based society where everything must be paid for in debt and you must always owe a debt. Your own works are taxed. I mean, if you really look at it, ladies and gentlemen, it's like it's absolutely obvious. And in the last and the way they've been crunching down this communist, socialist communist, it's the same thing. Fascist, it's a hybrid. It's totalitarianism. But this way, it's done with a smile and a handshake and a slick Willie Madison Avenue glow. And it doesn't matter if it's Romney or Obama. It doesn't matter. They're the same puppets to these elitists, the owners of the Federal Reserve Criminal Crime Syndicate. And it goes really far back when you get into the way that they plan this. Going back to as far as 1874, Baron Rothschild summoned Isaac Segelman to his office with some $55 million of U.S. bonds, which were to be offered to three houses, the House of Seligman, the House of Morgan, and the House of Rothschild. And what this was for was a notable advantage of J.P. Morgan's work for the House of Rothschild was that he was carefully cultivated the belief that Morgan participated in operations with Jewish banking firms and that he would not hire anyone of Jewish background. So they made it out to be that he was anti-Semitic, but in essence, he was really working for the Rothschilds, which is interesting. Again, these people are not who they appear to be. And now Jacob, the whole idea is it expanded all of this operation of these bankers expanded with George Peabody, who had the Peabody Trust, one of the very first trusts, like the foundations, I should say, the Rockefeller Foundation, and all was based upon the Peabody Trust. And when you get into this, I'll move this over. When you get into the whole essence of it all, Jacob Schiff, who brought in the Kuhn-Loeb firm to its preeminent role in American finance, was born into the Rothschild house at 148 Judensgasse in Frankfurt, and the Rothschilds shared that with the Schiff family. They shared the home with the Jacob Schiff family. And in 1867, as I mentioned, Kuhn and Loeb, two Cincinnati dry goods merchants, founded the banking house of Kuhn and Loeb. In 1875, the same year that Prudential Insurance was founded, Jacob Schiff arrived from Frankfurt and joined the firm. He married Therese, Solomon's daughter, and he also brought a large amount of Rothschild capital into the firm, enabling it to expand tenfold. In 1885, Loeb retired. Jacob Schiff ran the firm from 85 to 1920 when he died. So at no time has the House of Rothschild ever indicated publicly that it had any interest in the firm of Kuhn and Loeb Company. George Conroy stated in Truth Magazine, what a nice name, Truth Magazine, Boston, December 16, 1912, that Mr. Schiff is the head of the great private banking house of Kuhn, Loeb and Company, which represents the Rothschild interest on this side of the Atlantic. He has been described as a financial strategist and has been for years the financial minister of the great impersonal power known as Standard Oil. Okay, it's all tied into the Rothschild and the Rockefeller connection. Rothschild gave Rockefeller the money through the National City Bank of Cleveland, who financed his oil fields, and eventually he went into the banking field himself, of course, Rockefeller being John D. Rockefeller, who again bankrolled and paid for all of the eugenics research and funding, and continues to this day. The family does, and their foundation, and now it's become a very, very covert and occult uh, way that they are deceiving the people, poisoning them with the vaccines and poisoning them with chemtrails and fluoride in the water. All ways to all part of this eugenics program, mind control. It's outrageous. Uh, but it does get back to the fact that all of these people are all in bed together. They're all the same. Herbert Hoover, all these criminals, Bush, it doesn't matter where you go. Okay. Now, when you get into the costs associated with what this has done for society, well, in the name of freedom and liberty, we have the United Nations, who has slaughtered hundreds of millions of people. I mean, just unbelievable when you add it all up over the last 40 years. It's just an atrocity to think that these people are doing good in the world. They create the problem. They find real hatred for somebody. Then they fund that hated organization wherever it is. If in this case we have a heated war going on, uh, I mean, World War III is literally brewing because they wish it to be there. They want it to happen. So they're funding all these opposition groups to the rulers of all these various countries, and they've been doing this, consistently as they want in the time frame that they wish for the last 60 years, starting with 60 years ago, starting with the Shah of Iran being put into power. And then in 1979, you know what happened to him? He's out of power. And all of these people that the globalists back, these banking and corporate interests, they back them, and then they take over the country. They get a central bank put in, and when their usage is gone, or if there is no central bank, I mean, the Rothschilds did not have a central bank in Libya. They don't have one in Syria. These areas, they do not have banks, and the Rothschilds do not have interest with the Rockefellers, of course, in the oil, because they don't have the oil there. Well, Syria is not, that's not the issue there. But when it comes to Iran, when it comes to these other areas, the central banks, they want a central bank real bad. And they'll start wars to get their central banks, and their military industrial complex is funded by these existing central banks. The controllers, the owners, the oligarchs own all the shares in all of these large corporations like Halliburton. And they fund all of these research places and ways to take over their world government through the Rand Corporation and the Brookings Institute and other things of this nature. So it would be, very, very hard to believe that what's been going on is just happenstance, and that's just the way the economy is, if you know what is really going on. That said, I think that it's fair to say we should listen to maybe somebody who has a better viewpoint on this, and I was hoping to have some other things prepared, but as I do, I'll mention a few things. I'm going to get Eustace Mullins' work, which I've been reading from, is great, and there's just so much information that you have to really look at the book and refer to it because there's so much information and dates. But the connection with all of these, like I said, the National City Bank of Cleveland continues to dominate Midwestern industry and politics. It still does. These banking interests have absolutely penetrated every aspect of American business, and they lobby for rules, and they lobby for regulations that favor big business and favor jobs being taken overseas, and they pay for the political campaigns of people that will push this agenda. So we have to fight back. And again, Gary Johnson, 2012, man. It's in America. That's what we have. We have Gary Johnson, very upset about what happened with Ron Paul, but I think Gary Johnson is our best hope. Let's put all of our efforts into getting a libertarian. I am a libertarian candidate elected President of the United States in our lifetimes. we have to run on the I would run on the motto, because they always have these, the quote unquote, they always come up with these slogans. I would run on the slogan being, um, give it a what have you got to lose? Give it a shot. I mean, really, what have we got to lose? Give it a shot. Let's try liberty, freedom, and smaller government for a change. Let's see what would happen to the industrial might of this country if the loopholes were closed and all of these corporations were strangled. See, they want us to believe that they are controlling things because we have to use their products and everything. But if we stop using their products, they find ways of changing. Like when people stopped eating certain foods, that they because of the GMO, they all have alternative non-GMO. It emerged. It has to. The marketplace takes care of itself. The problem is these oligarchs, who are mostly Soviet-style communists, Bolsheviks, Stasi, fascist Nazis. These oligarchs are all intent on controlling everything, the food supply, everything. But they don't physically control it. They can't. It's not like there's this New World Order army, although it's getting close. They just try to affect their various things because of their immense wealth and influence, especially through the Council on Foreign Relations, which is now being normally regularly shown on TV shows as being talking about the problems when they never did this, really. Getting us used to this world government, and again, you have to be on these programs. The government, the federal government's telling us all to too many families that are eligible are not taking federal assistance because they have pride and they're looking to their families and to other solutions and would rather go into debt than add to the problem for their future generations. Not like the selfish people that are on these programs and don't do anything to help themselves. Anybody's been in trouble. I know good people that have been on. I've been on these benefits at one time or another. Having a health insurance benefit or having unemployment even, so when you have people that are on public assistance, federal assistance or whatever, or food stamps or whatever these things are, okay, it's a temporary thing because you're in a hard place and you don't want to it's not a lifestyle, but the government wants it to be now because, again, who is behind this? Who are the banks that are administrating all the cards for the welfare payments? It's the same banks. It's half of it's split down the middle between Chase, which is Rockefeller, and Bank of America, which is Rothschild. So we have this obvious push towards totalitarianism, towards closing down the society with all of these weapons that they put against the people and sound devices and all of these other things, and surveillance cameras everywhere, and things God only knows. And the Federal Reserve is at the key, is sort of it's the I guess like the heart of it, because it makes the engine run for the world. Everybody relies upon the Fed and what the Fed says. If the Fed says something, and that's another thing. The stock market is so rigged. The insiders are all making billions of dollars on a daily basis, just because they know how the market's going to move with reaction to this inside information. And it's a joke when they talk about insider trading. Where did they get the insider? Who gave them the inside information to begin with, that they got caught insider trading on? Think about that. And we are coming into this really Stasi state. These laws are in our face. Thankfully, at least it was ruled down unconstitutional that you can't have an American citizen held without without a warrant and all that. Even without a warrant, held without a trial. You can't, obviously. That's a good ruling. So liberty and freedom is really there. The New World Order is like a succubus that's trying to suck it away from us. But we still have a cohesive government, even though it's mangled and the oligarchs have gotten so much control through the politicians who get the protocols passed. They need the politicians to get the protocols passed. They need the evolution of the nanny-state comes from slow dissolution, from these programs that they keep putting in, and they need putting people in that think like of themselves, and they put these people in power who think like they think, and these eco-fascists like John P. Holdren, they put them in positions, and they love this, okay? And meanwhile, everyone needs more and more, and we got to get rid of the people, but we have to help the people that need it most. And while they're helping them, as they say that they're helping them, and goes history of eugenics, you can look at this, they're really poisoning them and sterilizing them and depopulating them through the GMO foods and the vaccines and the chemtrails and everything else. That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. That's the bitter, honest truth. So the Federal Reserve, yeah, it's a key to the problem. Now, after the break, we're going to go over some other information, and I'm going to have the great Eustace Mullins, who I will always refer to as one of the finest minds of the 20th century. Ezra Pound, again, another genius. He was a protege of Ezra Pound, who was basically a political prisoner, and not unlike many of the geniuses and true thinkers of the world. Galileo had the same problem, and others of historical history that they locked up and kept them away from society because they thought they were a danger. The truth is a dangerous thing. The world is flat. You realize how many people died trying to prove that the world was flat? Well, that's what these oligarchs do. They're evil, wicked people, and they're intent upon taking over every aspect of our lives, starting with first of all, just what we like and how we fashion our things that we like and the things that are happy, because they show us all these images. They give us all these things that we can see. So they control our thought processes. And then they give us these other options and all these choices that we think make us free. But they're really controlled choices and controlled options. And there are other things that are available, but they never publicize those things, but you'll find them if you look for them. And then you can see how controlled the world is with the food, with the drugs and alternative medicines, and alternative therapies. You'll see how there is a true division and a line that's drawn. And they want everything that's on the other side of the line, homeopathic medicines, other alternative treatments, alternative ideologies, religions. They want that all abolished. They want you to just buy their lie. And that is the truth. So again, like in a minute or so, we'll have a break. Coming back after the break, I'm going to have Eustace Mullins. I'm going to put in his Federal Reserve, and we'll talk about that since that is the topic tonight. And it's a wonderful little piece. I mean, I'm not going to go into his... He has a couple of full... In fact, please Google Eustace Mullins. You'll get tons of information. He's a genius. He really was. But we're talking about the Federal Reserve System. I have a... let's see. I think it's a 10-minute clip. Yeah. That's probably the right one to get. I'll give him the 10-minute clip here. And it really does talk about how it was put together. And and I'll be going over that in just a in just a little bit. Getting back to the other things happening. I'm sorry that I didn't get Mike to come on today. But there is a rally coming up. wearechangect.org. Go to wearechangect.org for more details. In fact, everybody should check out wearechangect.org. Again, I represent We Are Change Connecticut with Jim Russell and everybody else that are members, the many members, and Jim and I founded the chapter. there are chapters in Waterbury, Connecticut, and what you should do wherever you are is get your own chapters. You can just go to wearechange.org and get more information on how you can become an authorized We Are Change chapter and be the change you wish to see in the world. All right, I'm Howard Nima, and we'll be right back. From my cold dead hand. Anyway, Iraq, yeah, Syria, the whole world seems to be aflame. I hate to say it, but, and I'm not a fearmonger, but boy, is there a lot of stuff going on out there or what? I mean, how many embassies are we going to have protests at and burning down, and propaganda films to enrage people funded by these criminals that I'm talking about? This is the whole Hegelian dialectic put into place. So they make an inflammatory film, they put it in a place that somebody would hate it, put it out there. And it was in Saudi Arabia, interestingly enough. Saudi Arabia. Now they're calling for a ban of this video. Again, used to incite. I think that, the free speech is there. I mean, if they want to say that they hate us, that's okay for them, but they can't take it back. And, again, I haven't seen the film, so I can't make a judgment if it's really, but how many ways in the eyes of free speech has Christianity been attacked in the media and movies? And I mean, my God, The Exorcist had, what was it? Linda Blair was, fucking herself with a crucifix. I mean, that's pretty sick, stabbing herself with a crucifix. Just really, I mean, that's okay, but this is inflammatory and should be taken down. So it's all like this point of view type stuff, and it gets into this really mad connection, but it all ends up coming down to the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. They just want everybody to always be fighting, constant war, endless war, promulgated into, and it keeps killing. It just keeps, the population keeps going down, and they profit off of it with the weapons and the food and all the you have to help the refugees, and oh my God, it goes on, and the governments have to get bigger and bigger and bigger, so that we are floored with this problem. When we have a society that has to help America's, the whole platform of this mind control is that we have to protect the world. We must be the global force for good. That's the Navy's thing, the global force for good. Global this, we must make the world safe. What about just making America safe? What about keeping our domestic policies being priority and having our foreign entanglements minimized, like the founding fathers intended? We are being homogenized into a despotic world where we would embrace our own slavery. And we are, many of us. I mean, I hate the things I realize are slavery. I hate them. The oppression of it. The amount, how it keeps you down, it keeps your class lower because you can't rise as much because you're taxed so high. Maybe you could be a millionaire, but no, not if they make it harder and harder for that to occur. It's not easy, and they make it harder, and it's not just because the world's a tough place. No. The insiders have it easy, and they make it hard for everyone else because they want control. It's that simple. It's fundamental. Speaking of control, Amschel Rothschild stated, "Give me control of a nation's currency, and I care not who makes its laws." Now think about that. That was 225 years ago, 230 years ago. Now, we had Andrew Jackson, who got the banks, routed out the Rothschilds, and then they got their central bank again in 1913. Let's hear what Eustace Mullins has to say about this. His work, as I mentioned before, is impeccable. He's written a book called The Secrets of the Federal Reserve. Everyone should read it. And this is basically will be 10-minute segment from an interview that is approximately an hour long. I've seen this before, and I think it really does. It will illustrate the names and the way it works together and things I've just mentioned. It's all in his book here, and I'm a big um, promoter, because I don't want to say fan. I'm not a fan of anyone, and nobody should be a fan of me. I mean, or anything. Nobody. Fans, no fans. I mean, maybe with the band. You want to be a fan of Azure Soul? That's cool, because that's my band, Azure Soul. The song New World Order, which you heard before. I mean, that's cool, but we don't need. That's music. We don't need leaders. We need ideas. Look to ideas, because people will always, first of all, let you down and lead you astray. Even people that you think you can trust, like Alex Jones, led me astray. Eustace Mullins didn't lead anyone astray, and here he is.
His 4 proteges we got the Nobel Prize when I met him, and he really jumped on me and started whipping me into shape. And he assigned me to go to the Library of Congress and see what I could find out about the Federal Reserve System. Well, I really had a knack for research, and I found out the entire history of the Federal Reserve System, which is the greatest swindle ever known in history, where a group of private bankers conspired criminally to take over the money and credit of the United States, which they did in 1913, and they passed the Federal Reserve Plan through the Democratic Party in Washington, D.C., and it became a law of Congress. And this law handed over to this private bank all of the money and credit of the United States, which was a pretty good day's work. And they've kept it ever since, because they set it up as a monopoly so that the stock of the Federal Reserve banks could never be traded publicly. It could only be handed down in a family, or if a corporation bought the bank that owned it, they became possessors of the stock. You've never been able to buy, since 1914, you've not been able to buy a share of Federal Reserve Bank stock on the market anywhere. And that is monopoly. That's what they have. It's a monopoly. You see, they're totally insulated against anyone buying control of the Federal Reserve System. And John D. Rockefeller was one of the biggest holders, and he had his stock placed under the Rockefeller Foundation, so it can never be bought or sold. So it's secure forever. And the other people who bought control in 1914, they were the Schiff family and the Warburg family. And of course, they still have their own family fortunes, and they have a controlling interest in Federal Reserve Bank stock in various Federal Reserve banks. It's not all in one Federal Reserve Bank. It's in a number of Federal Reserve banks. And I think most of the holders of Federal Reserve Bank have at least stock in at least 5 of the Federal Reserve banks.
What are the consequences of having the Federal Reserve control the monetary system of the United States?
Well, the consequences are very important, and they're never discussed by any economist in the United States. The Federal Reserve Bank is a central bank. And a central bank, this is not taught in any economics class in the United States or in the world. A central bank is a bank of issue, which has the right to print all the money it wants. That's what a bank of issue means. You can print all the money you want. There's no control over it whatsoever. And right now, the Federal Reserve Bank is printing trillions of dollars, which are almost worthless, and they're looking for hyperinflation, actually, because it'll be a repeat of 1924 in Germany. But I think they've taken some precautions. It probably won't happen, because they've been through all that. They know exactly what will happen. And in hyperinflation, the money becomes worthless to the point where you have to have a wheelbarrow full of currency, paper currency, to buy a loaf of bread, which is normally worth 18 cents at that time. So they don't want to go through that again, so they're taking care of that. But the Federal Reserve has printed so much of this paper fiat currency, debt money, that it's overloaded the world. China and Japan have trillions of dollars of our so-called national debt, which is our currency. And of course they know that when it goes, it goes. when a currency becomes worthless, then nothing's more worthless than currency becomes worthless. So they're staving off the inevitable by hedging and doing what they can. But
they still are, but it's not going to be much longer, right, Eustace?
Paper dollar currency. You're stuck with it unless you can find another sucker to take it off your hands. And there's nobody right now who wants any part of it. So China and Japan.
We're the suckers. We're the suckers. We got bailed out. We are the suckers.
United States. That's all it was for. So in effect, we're financing our trade with China.
We're financing that, and we're financing our slavery by buying off this, by paying for this debt, this fraudulent debt.
Federal Express Company is a federal company, and it has no reserves because it doesn't need any reserves because it prints its own currency. If you can print your own money, what do you need of reserves? You just go and warm up the printing press and turn out another $10 billion. So, and finally, it's not a system. It's called the Federal Reserve System. It's not federal. It has no reserves. And it's not a system, but I'm the only person in the world who's ever defined it in my works as a criminal syndicate. And that's what it is. It's a criminal syndicate, just like the mafia, which is one of its subsidiaries, and the CIA and all the criminal syndicates work out of the Federal Reserve System. Because that's what a
Amen, Eustace. God bless your...
Is a group of bankers which have total control of a nation's economy. And they print their own money, print as much as they want to, and it eventually becomes worthless and through speculation. See, a central bank is set up for speculation. The Federal Reserve System was set up solely for speculation, and its author, Paul Warburg, who was a partner of Kuhn Loeb Company in New York, which, by the way, financed the Communist Revolution, financed the Hitler Revolution, and financed the Japanese entry into World War II. So I defined in my work that a central bank's principal role is for war finance, because war finance is the most profitable enterprise you can get into. And so if you're a banker, you're looking for the best investment you can make, which is a war. For instance, the Iraq War. Now, when they set up the Iraq War, Halliburton and Company, which is the oil production company, or an oil equipment company, actually, but it finances the big oil explorations. And they found out that, all companies found out that a war is the most profitable investment you can have. During World War I, Rockefeller, out of his patriotic goodwill, upped the price of oil 5 times to the U.S. government. That's how we won the war. And that's how he became, he was already the richest man in the world. And the richest man in the world wants to become the richest man in the universe, which is your next step, and apparently he made that. So that's what it comes. People wonder why a billionaire wants more money. Now, H.L. Hunt's sons, 4 sons, each one of them started off life at 21 with $1 billion at that time. And as you can imagine, they haven't thrown it away. So they were, on paper, they're worth about $2 billion apiece at the present time. But who knows what their holdings are.
How is the Federal Reserve set up?
Well, it was set up as 12 districts. See, we had 48 states in the United States at that time. So you would think that the logical way would be to set up a Federal Reserve Bank in each state and have 48 Federal Reserve Banks. But instead, they carved the United States into 12 districts of their own, which they called Federal Reserve Districts. And these 12 Federal Reserve Districts are actually the government of the United States. They override the states and they override the federal government. And not many people know that. They don't know that this is the Federal Reserve System of the United States, the Federal Reserve Districts.
Why didn't the American people rise up or say something about it?
They didn't say anything about it because it was a hidden conspiracy. Now I'm always called a conspiratologist, and people say I see conspiracies everywhere. But as I told a reporter for the Dallas Morning News a couple years ago, in a front page story, I said I've never had to invent a conspiracy in my life, there are more conspiracies than I can possibly write about. So it's not a question of seeing conspiracies under every bed. It's a question of seeing conspiracies in every commercial activity and every political activity that goes on in this country. Because they always have a hidden agenda, which means that the conspirators have to keep their identities concealed. And it's always criminal in nature because they always have some criminal objective to attain by operating this conspiracy. That makes it all persons involved in a conspiracy for a criminal purpose automatically become criminals, criminally liable. And that is the case of everybody who has anything to do with the Federal Reserve System. They're criminally liable for participating in a criminal conspiracy. And there's no other definition that you can make.
Wow. Yeah, there really is no other definition. That was Eustace Mullins. Again, a great patriot. His work is amazing. I got just the efforts that he took, the research. It's so specific about the Nazis. I mean, OSS, the CIA. One of my greatest resources, actually, and it's all verifiable. Again, you can all don't ever believe anything that you see here on Truth Talk News or anything that I say, but I want you to research it. I want you to challenge me to find your own truth, which is the truth. There's only one truth. And our goal on TruthTalkNetworks.com is to have activists get together with forums, and please join. If you have articles, if you write articles on a regular basis or blog, or if you have information you'd like to share, by all means. These are searchable. We're high up on the register as far as when you put in search engines, we get right to the front pages. So it's all available for the people out there that are activists. Do what you can and do more. Whatever you can do, just do a little bit more. I mean, sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes I say, I got to drop this, or I got to stop this, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. Well, I mean, if you have a conflict, like if I have a show or something and I have with the band, maybe I'll even stream the show. So I mean, it still would be, there's still truth out there because the music is truth. So that's a good point too. So yeah, you can always do a little bit more. It's a good way to work in general. You'll get more than if you do less. Anyway, that's just pretty much logical. But again, with Eustace Mullins, his words, his truth, the CIA came out of the Nazis. It was all backed by Hitler. It was, backed by Rothschild and Rockefeller, Hitler, Stalin, the whole alliance. The fact that they decided that Stalin would be the bad guy, and the Soviets would be the bad guy. Yalta, it's just a big charade, as the late President FDR would say. What a charade! And then Hoover said, if these criminals ever looked at the books, so they realized, well, God knows what the American people would think. Well, they know these are all criminals. They're all high level criminals, big time criminals. What are you going to do? That's what we're dealing with. A criminal cartel who have hijacked our government, taken over our money system, enslaved us in debt, and now they want to take our rights away to bring in a new world order, a one world government, where all aspects of human life are under their control. And you and I would have to do what they say or die. Well, I guess the latter would be much preferred for most. The cowards, like sheep, will flock to the FEMA camps at the first sign of danger. if the government asks them to. And I implore you all to understand that something is happening. We don't know really what it is or when it's going to come, but it's brewing. We can see the unrest in Europe. We can see the incredible banking issues that are going on there in these countries. All of them being bankrupted at the same time. And now we have this destabilization, for lack of a better word, in the Middle East. This firing of missiles and threats of nuclear war, basically. Alright, see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching Truth Talk News. Now we have Harry Link with Death to the New World Order here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Howard Nema. See you tomorrow night on TruthTalkNetwork.com with Truth Talk News. God bless you.